swear to God, there better not be kombucha in your fucking coffee mug, Nicholas.
I I wouldn't hide it. I have no shame about that.
You should have a lot of shame about that.
Wow.
And with that said, I'm going to say this loud because my daughter says she can hear it from upstairs, which I think is hilarious. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all ages, Dork Shared Universe and Geeks Worldwide Radio proudly presents to you the greatest. That's right, folks, you heard it. The greatest podcasting team in the world. Here's your 2024 Westport High Hall of Fame inductee, Nicholas J. Friar, Esquire for Hire, and I'm your friendly neighborhood backcracker, Dr. Joe. Together we are the TLDR Comic Book Club, baby. Congratulations, Nicholas.
Thanks, brother. I very much appreciate that. I'll tell you what, when you messaged the chat to let them know, because I obviously didn't tell them, I don't think they understood what the fuck was going on. Like,
No.
not forget your insults that were incorporated in the compliment.
Gotta keep you humbled.
Even with, like, regardless of that, I still don't think they know what the hell was going on. Especially I tried to thank you to let them know, like, this, like, Joe's talking about an actual thing that happened. But
for every compliment, Nicholas, I give you, I've got to insult you at least 3 times over.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's 3 times. So there you go.
It keeps you humbled, you know, because
feels like 3 times. So the mission is accomplished no matter what. So well done.
Thank you. It's not easy. Well, it's very easy to insult you, but you know, just want to keep you grounded. You know, I'm sure your dad like humbled you as a child. I'm just gonna keep that going.
He still tries to once in a while, but unfortunately, he just doesn't have a leg to stand on. But speaking of,
that's right, he's got 2.
Yeah, exactly. But well, very funny. Well, we will have our legs up in the air in just a few
hey!
after you guys are listening to this. Oh, wait a minute. What? Oh.
As the kids would say, pause.
Oh, well, my bad. Anyways, I did that on purpose. We are going to be going to C2E2. You guys have heard us mention that quite a bit, and that's why Joe is rocking his Cubs hat today. Maybe making a little stop over at Wrigley as well. Very excited to
maybe to 2.
Maybe 2. Who knows? We'll see. Like, why not? We're there, right? Yeah. And the Cubs are better than the Red Sox, so the tickets may be a little bit more pricey, but they won't be hard.
Thursday afternoon day game. Weather might not be tremendous.
No. I think we'll be fine. Well, but I'm saying compared to the Red Sox, they're paying people to go to the games now at this point. So
do you know they knocked $150 off NESN 360? It's still too fucking expensive.
Yeah, I still can't believe that's actually a thing. But yes, so we will be at C2E2 coming up. So if you are there, if you're a listener of the show, by all means, make sure you say hi to us. If you see us, we will be rocking TLDR gear while we are there. So that way, you know how to find us, assuming you can't identify us from the streams. You'll be surprised to find when you see Doc in person, he's actually 6'7", and I'm a lot shorter than him. So you'll see what I mean when you guys
like
get
dwarf over here.
Yes, but we're excited to see all different creators who we've had on the show before and connect with them in person. We've only got to do that really in Boston so far because I feel like some creators go to Rhode Island Comic Con. I haven't been to that one in a couple years, but still not as much as we see in Boston. And looking at the C2E2 roster, Joe, I mean, you've been buzzing about it for a while. It is stacked.
It is stacked, and I'm bummed that Chris Claremont canceled because that would have been a great one. You know, to stop by, get something, have him sign it. You know, that would have been awesome talking to him. But unfortunately, he won't be there. But I mean, it is fucking stacked. Yep. Not just with the comic creators and the artists either, but like just the entertainment people as well. Yeah. But how about Josh Brolin charging $200 for a picture, and then $200 for an autograph? So if you want to get a picture signed, that's 400 bones.
Wow. And bones. I mean, that is our money for damn sure. So that's,
yeah. I've only got so many.
Wow. And so are the worms too, if I'm not mistaken. But
right.
It's weird that $400. Yeah, that's
by far he was the most of them were like $40 for this, $80 for that. He was 200 across the board. Jesus.
What would you rather do with like a celebrity that you're, because I just have a hard time paying for that. I paid for autographs when I was a kid, you know, for baseball players. I would go to a card show and get that done. And obviously I'm not paying for it. My dad or my mom was paying for it, but I would do the autographs then 100%. Now, I mean, I don't know. Would you rather pay for a picture or for an autograph?
Neither, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm with you on that one. But I guess if you
But
were,
if I had to choose, I would take the picture. Um,
I think so too.
and even then, I would like it'd have to be a selfie, I guess. You
Yeah,
know?
but I'll never forget when. So Rhode Island Comic Con was the first con that I went to, and I went to that for a couple of years. And I remember like seeing there was a small sign. I forget who it was, but they had a sign that said like $5 for selfies. It was like, this is before like selfies like took off in the way that they have. And I was like, wait, really? You're charging for a selfie? Like not even a professional picture?
Wow, yeah, Jesus. Yeah, I guess you gotta make your money. I'll tell you
Yep.
what, though, I have packed my hardcover volume 1 of Something Is Killing the Children
Hmm.
and my hardcover complete Spider-Man life story, so I can get those both signed by Chip and
Nice.
Jen James.
And I will say too, we're talking about that with like the celebrities, but we both pay to get stuff signed by comic book creators. So it's like,
Although I'll tell you what, though, right? The comic creators are they don't charge a ton. It's usually like
nope,
$5-10, but they're really great. Same thing with the artists. If you buy something from their table, they'll just sign it for you. They won't charge
absolutely.
it. The only person that charged us extra was fucking Brian Azzarello.
Mm,
He charged
mm.
us for both. He was only one.
Yep. He was the only one. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I agree. Like they do handle it. They handle it quite differently. But I will say like those are the people who I do want to get autographs from. So it's I guess because we deal with them so much. So it's kind of I don't know. I feel it feels more normal to me asking for an autograph from them than a picture. But they also don't charge for pictures. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, it's to each their own, I guess. But before that, you guys have no shortage of stuff to listen to because on top of what's new, we also have a Friar Side chat. And this week we're doing it a little bit differently. Of course, you can only find our Friar Side chats on our audio channels. We're talking Apple Podcast, Spotify, Geeks Worldwide Radio, Amazon, Pocket Cast. You can find us on all the major platforms. This week, my chat with Akira Brown, which when I previously recorded, Joe was not able to make it. Coiled to Strike is Akira's anthology, and you can find that over on Kickstarter. It's a Western anthology about the myths and legends of the Viper with devil horns, Emery Graves. You can go check that one out. That is going on until that Kickstarter until April 30th. That in audio form is going to be coming right at the end of what's new. So you're going to get a double feature in this episode as opposed to the separated releases that we tend to do that we've done in the past. So excited to share that with everybody. And when we're done too, obviously, Joe, we've talked about it a little bit off air, but if you want to hear it from the X-Men, the animated creators, the animated series creators, they appeared over on Change My Mind this week after you and I were on Mac and Goo to talk about what's been going on with X-Men 97. So it's been a pretty busy week for us, and we still haven't even made it to C2E2 yet.
Yeah, X-Men's in, baby. X-Men's in. Very popular right now. I don't know if you heard about it. If you've seen this, you heard about this. But no, excellent. It was a lot of fun to be on Mac and Goo with Uncle Buck. And that's an inside joke that no one will get, but good giggles. Good giggles all
yeah,
around.
well, you know what? His brother might get it now because he's been on the show. But we got another little bit of news too that came out. I know. I think last time you and I convened, we talked about the Scott Snyder news over at DC, which there's still been no formal announcement on that, but still very significant. And so so we're waiting to hear more. But then we also got some news that Post Malone and Michael Bay are is it a company, their production company? Either way, they're working with Vault for collaboration.
Yeah, I saw this quickly on Twitter while I was waiting to pick Violet up from school today, and I think they're like working on a project together. I don't know if it's a studio or something, but I think they're working on a project together. And what a random ass pairing, right? Post Malone, Michael Bay, like that. This is either going to be, this is with Vault Comics, so this is either something that is going to be like fucking surprisingly, unexpectedly kick-ass, or it's going to be like, what the fuck am I reading? Right? I don't feel there's going to be any middle ground with this,
Yeah, I don't know. And we're getting this announcement. It looks like from Vault it's not gonna be coming out. Like this isn't gonna be starting until 2025. But
Yeah.
it's a universe over at Vault, and it's gonna start with a graphic novel, which honestly, I think is a pretty damn smart move as opposed to doing single issues. Of course,
100%,
yeah,
100%. That makes so much sense because I think if you did this with floppies, like I said, it's gonna. I think it's gonna be one of those things. You either can love it or you're like, "What the hell is this?"
yep.
And if it's in floppy form and you've got to spread that out over 4 or 5 months versus just bam getting a graphic novel, I think the graphic novel is going to sell a hell of a lot better than what you'd see possibly over the course of 5 6 months.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because obviously we haven't talked to TKO in a while, and I feel like we haven't seen a lot of new stuff from them in a while. But they were obviously they are strictly like trade paperbacks, and we've seen with other companies, AWA is doing a little bit more with it. But now we get this from Vault, where again I know that the big news is like Post Malone, Michael Bay, like that's what's getting the headlines. But for us and our listeners who are much more interested in like the how things come out and the actual story itself, this is coming out straight as a graphic novel. And on top of that, Joe, I've been seeing Image starting to publicize more OGNs as well. I know Dark Horse has done OGNs for a long while too. It's we're starting to see a little bit of more of that in the space. And personally, I think that's a good sign because as much as it could be of a product of companies saying we should try this because this is the floppies maybe aren't doing as well as they should. I also see this as like people want like people who wait, who are trade waiters, they are more likely to, there's like an audience here that will go in and give it a look if it's creators that they are familiar with in some capacity.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes sense with certain titles, and especially with something like this. I think this is the perfect because those are two wildly popular names that aren't associated with comics, right?
Hmm.
And so I think just to me, from like a browsing standpoint, too, a floppy can get lost in the shuffle when you're at your local comic book shop and you're kind of looking around. Whereas the graphic novels, they stand out more, right?
Hmm.
Right. Because especially when
Yeah.
you got them on display and you see, oh, Post Malone, you're gonna grab it, and if it's all there in one story and you flip through it, and the cover pulls you in, and you do that quick flip through, and the art and the interior art looks good, right? And you see Post Malone, you see Michael Bay. Oh, you're more likely to take that and zip it home, right?
Hmm.
Versus like, oh, maybe it gets lost in the shuffle, especially if it comes out during a busy time when there's always a shit ton of Marvel books, there's always a shit ton of DC books. Those are the first places that the general public's going to go to first.
Yeah.
And then you start, you going through the indies, right? I'm speaking in generalities here. So I think it's a great move. It's going to be interesting as hell, to see what this is all about. And yeah, I was floored when I saw that.
Yeah, Vault, just let us know when you want Post Malone and Michael Bay to come on and make their TLDR debut. I think we will be able to fit them into our schedule at some point.
Oh,
Um,
I'd actually have street cred,
yeah, right.
if I chatted with Post Malone.
Can you imagine if you told that to your nephew? He would be like, what? What?
I don't
No,
know
no.
if my nephew likes Post Malone or
He
not.
knows who it is, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
it's kind of a big deal. Um,
Yeah, kind of a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, so we got that news from Vault Studio. Again, we're going to C2E2. If you see us there, make sure you say hi, please. And again, at the end of our What's New chat, you're going to be hearing from Akira Brown, where I talked to them about Coil to Strike, the Western anthology that is available on Kickstarter for backing until April 30th. But let's finally get to some of these books, Joe. I say that catching up. I don't have anything to add here.
Back
Obviously,
to back weeks. You
yes. Well,
nippers.
I kind of had a busy weekend. If you brought it up
Oh,
already. So
I got inducted to a Hall of Fame. I couldn't read. Come
I
on,
was
son.
seeing my family, so I don't know. But
Oh,
I did read all the books that came out this week that I needed to
didn't
for
you
you.
just see your family at Easter? I mean, come on, Nicholas.
This is true. This is very
Yeah,
true. But what do
right.
you have for catching up?
I just have two books.
Hmm.
Cobra Commander issue 4. Excellent. I've said this time and time again. This book is not for kids. It is not. It is violent as hell, and I love it. Absolutely love it. And then The Agent issue 5. This was the finale. Yeah, this was a solid series. They set up for a second arc. If a second arc never comes, it ended on a good spot. I mean, this was a fine series.
Mm.
I think it got bogged down. The pacing of it, I should say, got bogged down. The pacing of it at times was a little slow, but the story was good and it had a solid ending. So, if a second arc does come out, I think I'll check it out. But if it ends there and they don't put any more out, then that'll be fine.
Gotcha. Okay. So I feel a little bit better about not about kind of leaving this one behind.
Yeah. It was a fine book. I'm not like mad that I read it or anything. It's like, oh,
Right.
that stinks, or no, it didn't stink. It had some pacing issues, but it was a good story. I bet there's people out there like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Mm.
Eh.
Well, we have a middle ground on this show, at least. So there's that. All right, let's get to what's new this week. It's taking us a bit to get here. We got Marvel, Joe. What do you got for me?
According to Comics
Oh,
League of Comics Geek, 123 books.
jeez, that is a lot.
I don't know what the hell their website get
The
bogged
the
down with
the
that. It's
list
driving me
I'm.
bananas.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I see the review copies, and I know like there's a ton. I mean, just but looking at the list that you have in front of me, ugh,
Yeah.
man, it's crazy.
So we have Ultimate Spider-Man issue 4. Excellent, excellent, excellent series. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 48. Wolverine issue 48. Quick, what'd you think of it, Nicholas?
So I said I read all the books I needed to read this week, and I didn't read Wolverine.
Okay.
Damn it! I knew that
Uh,
was gonna happen. I put my that's my fault. I put my foot in my
so
mouth.
on and so forth. That kombucha's running
Wait,
your brain.
wait, wait. What did you think of it?
Oh, it was excellent. It's
Okay,
excellent. I will say this. I am kind of ready for the Sabretooth War to wrap up.
okay,
Right? I'm getting there. And I think we're getting there too. But at this point
definitely.
now I'm like, okay, let's but it was an excellent issue.
For those who
The
haven't seen the cover, I do want to say that it's a Stretch Armstrong Wolverine cover, like the main cover. So
Oh,
that
and they moved the parental advisory up top right corner. You can't miss it. The Avengers issue 13, Gods issue 7, Rise of the Power of X issue 4. Real quick. So we talk about how there's like a million X-Men books out. And we got called out because we didn't remember an X-Men storyline where Wolverine was the head of Jean Grey's school for gifted youngsters. I
Mhm.
will admit I didn't read that particular one. There is a significant gap in my comic book reading history, so that's on me. I'm going to own that. But like X-Men puts out so much stuff, so constantly I've been on here for weeks saying, "Oh, I need to catch up on Fall of the House of X." And it's not Fall of the House of X I need to catch up on. It's Rise of the Powers of the X. There's so many bloody titles that all blend in together that I get them confused and mixed up. And maybe that's my age-addled brain. But I am all caught up on Fall of the House of X, which is excellent. This one, though, I do need to catch. This is the one I need to catch up on. I read the first one. I remember for the first time around when this all began, the Powers of X story. That one had a pacing issue. That one was a kind of a slog to get through, and that's how I kind of felt with the first issue of Rise of Powers of X. So I think that's why I need to catch up because I'm like, but
Mm.
it's so important to what's going on. So make sure you read those. Superior Spider-Man issue 6, Blade issue 10, X-Men Forever issue 2, which you are reading.
Mhm.
Spider-Punk Arms Race issue 3, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver issue 3, Wolverine Madripoor Knights issue 3, Django Fett issue 2, Jackpot and Black Cat issue 2, Predator The Last Hunt issue 3, Night Thrasher 3, Darth Maul Black, White, and Red issue 1. Meant to read this. This is written by Benjamin Percy, right? This is the first
Yes.
one of these anthologies that's written by the same person all the way through.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is must read stuff. Like this is something that we've been
Yeah.
really excited about for a long while. And that main cover too. I mean, that's just I haven't seen the variants for this. I'm sure you can find them over on League of Comic Geeks, but this is look, the interior is amazing too. So this is like
Yeah,
yeah.
this is one of two books that I should have gotten to this week that I didn't get to. But a book that I did get to is Daredevil issue 8. Now, remember when Chip's run ended? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna read it, but like I felt like it just wasn't gonna live up to the Daredevil that I had been reading for the 3 years prior. So I'm not going to sit here and say here that this Daredevil is up to that level, but I believe it's Saladin Ahmad who's writing it now. It's excellent. It really is. He's doing a hell of a job with Daredevil. It is again become a book that I just continue to read when it comes out. It's one of the first books I read, each month. So he's got his own take on the character. He's telling a really great story. We in this particular issue we get a great great team up with Daredevil and the woman without fear, Elektra, and they're taking on Bullseye. But there's a big thing that happens here at the end of this particular issue that I didn't see coming. So that was a lot of fun. So like I said, like it's the thing that can happen when you read a series that you love so much, especially in Marvel and DC, where constantly like throughout the main run, there's going to be writers that come in, they make their stamp, and then they move on, and then someone else takes over, and that doesn't always work out well. Where like you go to continue reading, like I just don't like it. It's not the same, and then you fall off and you don't read it for a while. This, like I said, it's not at that Zdarsky, Tom Taylor level, that we've gotten
Mhm.
from Nightwing and Daredevil, but it really has been an excellent series so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and as we've said when we've touched on it in the past, like for you to feel that way is saying a lot about the quality of this. So if you didn't read Chip's stuff, then if you're catching up on it still, whatever, you could go and as much as like maybe you still want to go and read that. Those people could probably appreciate what's being done here even more so because there's not that like comparison here, but it's still like really damn good because it's
yeah,
obviously won you over.
yeah.
Looking over to DC, we got Detective Comics issue 1084, Green Arrow issue 11, The Flash issue 8, Harley Quinn 39, Batman The Brave and the Bold issue 12, Power Girl issue 8, The Penguin issue 9, Batman Dark Age issue 2, and then Primer issue 2.
Surprisingly slight week from DC. It's been a surprisingly light month in
Yeah,
general for DC, and I don't think they've had a single #1 this month.
that was the thing that jumped out
Right?
to us, and I'm wondering, Joe, if maybe that's got something to do with some of the Scott news. But then again,
I was thinking the same thing, and there's some other things cooking over there too. There's a
mm,
lot going on at DC right now, so I'm
yeah,
wondering if that's like just in terms of like logistics and trying to. It seems like they're doing a restructuring or reshaping something. Um,
hmm yeah,
but
I,
like
I was thinking from like a hype standpoint and creating like a little more desire. But I think you're right more so with the logistics side of it. Like,
they got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies right now, and I think
yeah,
they're not trying to bog themselves down by I think they're trying to like manage the workload of everything they've got coming up because they've got some big things coming up.
yeah, yes, they do.
From Skybound, this is the other book I wanted to get to this week, but I didn't. Was Duke issue 5? I've really been enjoying that.
Mhm.
But the other one, man, this is a book that we saw during the solicit, and I go, yeah, because I love what Skybound and Image is doing with the Universal Monsters property.
Right.
James Tynion and Martin Simmons with Dracula was absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to talk about that on the show. But then we saw, right when we discussed it at the beginning of the month, was Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, issue 1. This is written by Dan Waters and Rom V. Who's hotter than Rom V right now? Almost nobody.
Hmm.
Right? Almost
Yeah.
nobody, baby.
Yeah.
With art by Matthew Roberts and colors by the very acclaimed Dave Stewart. And so I knew right away. Okay, I loved, obviously what they have planned for these properties. It's in good hands because they started off with James Tynion and Martin Simmons, and you follow that up with Dan Waters and Ron V. So right away, I knew, bang, I'm in. I'm gonna love it. And I don't know much about the creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm not a big horror movie guy, right? And I'm especially not a huge pulp horror guy. But I have got appreciation for some of those classic, monsters. And so, but I had no idea what I was getting into with this book, and it's fantastic, man.
Ooh.
It revolves around a detective who has a near death experience with a serial killer, and she's very traumatized by that because the serial killer's MO is to drown people, right? And so she's chasing this guy, to the ends of the earth, despite her mental health not being, where it should be to be hunting down a serial killer, if there ever is, a
Mhm.
proper mental state to do so. But she finds herself in South America and hunting this guy down, and just the character development you get, the pacing of it is great. I love characters that have a history to them, that have you know there's a lot to overcome there, and the way that this particular issue ends, it's like, oh shit, that was fantastic, right? We talk about the importance of the ending of that first issue and whether or not it's going to propel you into wanting the second issue. If it leaves you sort of lukewarm, like interested just enough, or if you're completely out, right? And this, again, I wish I had the second issue to read
Hmm.
right now. So, Rom, if you're watching, if you see this video, and you want to shoot me a DM of the second issue, I would fucking love it. That's how good this first issue was, and how I feel this series is going to be.
And you know what? This is one that would be for me like easy to sleep on, just because, like you said, with Creature of the Black Lagoon, like I don't like I've obviously know the name, but not a character that I'm like, oh, I need to go read this. And I think, again, you've talked about how good Dracula was, a character who, of course, we've seen, no shortage of Dracula stories in the world. Yet this one's off to a strong start, and Dracula was awesome. And of course, it's not surprising with Tynion, but I think it just goes to show the strength of some of the decision making that's going on with Skybound right now. So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Looking to Boom, we got quite a few titles that you and I are reading. One of them is not Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, but issue 14 is out this week. I actually, in fairness, haven't checked that out. So between the two
I've
of us,
always meant to, and it's always just sort of kind of slipped between the cracks, but it's supposed to be excellent.
whoever gets there first gets it. Rare Flavors issue 5. Speaking of Rom V, correct? That's
Yes,
yes,
the
yes.
penultimate issue. Yep,
Oh,
excellent
okay.
stuff.
And you have dibs on that one. Man's Best, issue 2. The Expanse, Dragon Tooth, issue 11. Dune, House Carino, issue 2. Orcs, The Gift, issue 3. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 119, which, by the way, I saw that Melissa Flores' run is coming to an end with Power Rangers. So, happy for her. Like, she's done a great job. I wish that it wasn't coming to an end. I know there's other stuff going on with Power Rangers right now from like a property standpoint, like from the toy making and everything. So I don't know what the hell is going on over there, but she's done a kick-ass job with the characters. But the two Boom books that we want to talk about this week, Joe, why don't you start us off with the return of one of your all-time favorite titles?
And Something is Killing the Children, issue 36, made its return. And the way the last arc ended, that was such a great arc. And it ended in a way where you're like, is this the end of the series? But I believe Tynan said that he's planning on ending it somewhere in the 80s, right? So
Okay.
we're not going anywhere for a while. And I know that at C2E2, Tiny Onion, his
Right.
studio is they're doing a Something is Killing the Universe panel kind of thing. So there's
Mm,
big plans in store. So I didn't know what to expect, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, wow, this is excellent. And then it was like, boom, it ended, and I realized, oh, I think this next art might be like a series of like one issue stories. So
mm,
instead of sort of telling this story that goes over one arc or maybe over two arcs, I think we're going to get a series, because I think the name of this particular issue was like Road Stories or something like that, and I love that idea. If that's going to be the case, of like we get these stories of Erica Slaughter, in her past, just going from town to town, and just sort of like doing these like different kind of like taking down these different monsters, in each town she is, and then coming back to it and just going from there. So I was so happy to see this in our review folder this week. This is an all-timer for me. I think Erica Slaughter for me is an all-time top 10 character for me in general. That's how much I've loved this book. I mean, I've been reading it now for 4 years, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, so just excellent stuff. I'm so happy that it's back.
Yeah, it's one of the best ones running. So real quick though, so you said Erica Slaughter top 10 character for you in comics, period, in indie comics. Like, what's the category you were thinking when you
I
said that?
think comics, period. She's
Yeah,
awesome, right?
yeah,
She's awesome. And when Violet's old enough, I can't wait to give her this series
hmm
and have her read it and just like, you know, just read about and see this badass, no nonsense character. That's a girl starring in like, this major comic series. So
hmm
Erica Slaughter, she's just so awesome.
Yeah, she is what she's absolutely one of the best characters out there right now. That's for damn sure. From Boom, we got another. There's another set of awesome characters too that we love, but we got like Pine and Merrimack issue 4. Kyle Starks, Fran Gallen. We look. We expected after the last issue for this to be very fast moving. Like, we've in the first few issues, it was the first couple, I would say, we're getting to know the characters more, and you may even say the first 3 issues. This one though, we were left on such a like oh fuck moment that we have to like Kyle and Fran just got right into it right away, and like this is like I it's a massive issue. Like this is like this issue. This title has been kicking ass through the first 3, but
Way to undersell it.
this is the biggest issue of the series to this point. Not even close. Well, I'm trying to be like, we got to be careful here. Like if you've been enjoying the ride, like this needs to be at the top of your pile this week, and like watch out for like anybody talking about this online. Be careful.
I sent you how many eyeball emojis?
A lot.
Have you read this yet? Man, for those who have watched it or listened, to our program, and especially when we talk about this book, you'll know that I said something big's gonna happen. I called it. I called it. It was just shit was just too good to be true, and I knew I fucking knew it, man. Even when you see it coming, fuck you. God damn it. I was so this was such a tremendous issue. This has been such a tremendous series. The storytelling has been perfect. Fran Gallen's art is absolutely outstanding. Just all the little nuances to this story from where it started, to where we are now. Even minor character, not even I wouldn't even call them minor characters, right? The crazy lady from the first issue, which you thought was
Mhm.
just a random couple scenes of panels, we've seen just kind of in the background, and we see them again in
Yeah.
this issue, and it's just like there's just like little things like that um, that make you go, "Oh, this is just like you feel like you're a part of this community. You feel like you're part of this world because you're getting to know these characters like they're people in your community, really fucked up community."
Yes. Very fucked up. But yeah, Kyle Starks is really like he's
He's
he's on
killed
a
it.
heater. Yep.
He
Yep.
really is. And Kyle, not cool. And he even warned us on Twitter. Like we threw it out there, then he had a reply, and you went, "Ugh," and I said,
Yeah.
"Fucking knew it." And so
Yep.
when you read it, you'll read it, read it, read it, read it, read it, read it.
Yeah. Some awesome stuff. Pine and Merrimack is one of the best new titles going right now, and definitely in the conversation for book of the year,
100%.
and best new title. But what do we got from Dark Horse?
Okay, so from a Dark Horse, we have Dawn Runner issue 2, which I have to catch up on because I was very confused. Because we got Dawn Runner issue 1 in our folder, we got Dawn Runner issue 2, but we also saw on Twitter that it was coming out as a complete graphic novel. So, like, were they just being like, "Yeah, we're going to release this now, but we're just telling you when it's coming out in the graphic novel form, anyways?" Like, that was really confusing.
Yep,
Uh,
to say
so
the least.
again, Romvi, I should have both of these issues read by the next time we convene, Nicholas, because we're going to be spending some time in a big old death trap in the air, which should give me some time to read. But we also have Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures issue 5. If you find this, I'm already dead. Issue 3. This is one of the books that you're reading that I have serious FOMO on. because it just looks, just the art on it and the creators and everyone, this looks like a book right up my alley.
So I will take little tension off it for you. This is the end of the story. This is
Oh,
three
it's only
issues.
3 issues.
It's only 3 issues, but it seems what Kent is doing now, at least with his Dark Horse work, is he's doing like these mini series. Because there was that like spy one that I talked about a while back, but it was like the length of the issues are like double sized, essentially, or maybe
Ah,
even a little longer. So I will talk about that, and that doesn't mean like the story can't like there can't be more from this world necessarily, but it's like this story is done. So I will make sure to move this up my list to talk about for you, so you can get on
well,
it.
Kent also, like, all his books are in the same universe. They're all tied in together somehow, subgenre.
Hmm.
Oh, what was one of the other books I talked about? It's another spy book.
Oh, I was gonna say, isn't
Um,
it? What's the cat one that you read? It's not
Oh no,
Purdy.
well, not that
Hairball.
one yet. Hairball, yeah, but like a lot of his books, like there's characters, like there's like the shared universe there, which
Hmm.
I enjoy. But anyways, Ghostbusters Back in Town issue 2, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora issue 3, Operation Sunshine Already Dead issue 1. Let me take us through these next two as well, and then you can lead us off with Vault. From IDW. We have TMNT Sunday Morning Adventures, issue 12, Star Trek Defiant, issue 14, The Ministry of Compliance, issue 5. This series has been phenomenal, Nicholas. I can't wait to get that. I believe it's the last issue, but man, it has been
Cool.
terrific. I don't quote me on that, but I
Okay.
think so. Dungeons and Dragons, Saturday Morning Adventures, issue 4. From AWA, we were supposed to get Red Light issue 4. At least that's what League of Comic Geeks had told us. But now it looks like it's not coming out till June, so I don't know what to believe. Like, is it going to come out sooner? Is it really going to be June? I don't know, but I'm dying to read this because I've loved this story so much.
Of course.
But this week we are getting the trade paperback for Rumpus Room, Mark Russell's Rumpus Room,
Hmm.
which we absolutely love. We talked to Mark Russell, about this book. He's such a great writer. This is such a great series. If you hadn't read it, when you hit your local comic book shop, whenever you hear this, grab it, grab it.
Hmm.
You'll love it. There's some questionable artwork that Mr. Shrek hangs up in his house. Um, but it's hilarious. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. It's an awesome series, and
Yeah,
you're gonna read that, and that's the kind of book you'll read in one sitting too.
yeah.
Very like
Oh
very
yeah, you'll
yeah.
fly through it, and I say that as the utmost compliment.
Yep, 100%. From Vault. So I guess I didn't text you, but I didn't bring this up. Like, so we got Slash presents Deathstalker issue 1. You're not This is the only Vault book that we got this week. I did post it like elsewhere, like that we had like the review copies are there. So like you do have a way of knowing outside of me personally texting you, but you also
I
weren't
don't I don't
interested in this.
I don't check. So there's a lot of folders that we have in there for the review copies, but most of them never get updated, like IDW
Sure.
does, right?
Yep.
And so, like with Vault, like I will check it from time to time, but I'm never usually like it's always boom, Dark
Mm.
Horse, Image, Marvel, and then AWA emails us separately. But those are the folders that I check because sometimes Mad Cave sends us stuff. Now that it's actually becoming a little bit more, they kind of send them all at once, which you made me aware of after you bogarted a bunch of titles. Um, but now I know to check that one. But I don't know to check all these other ones, and I'm not going to sit there and click on every single folder every week to see if something is new. You got to tell me, Nicholas.
Well, yes, but in fairness to me, so yes, that's fair, and I've done that. But in this instance, this was a title you were not interested in, 100%.
Facts, facts,
Okay,
but still,
yeah.
I want to be kept in the loop, Nicholas.
This I am very much aware of, so I
Yeah,
apologize for that.
yeah.
But Slash presents Deathstalker issue 1. So this is a book that is taking a character that was from like a 1980s movie that I never heard of. I don't think you've ever heard of, right, Joe? You
No.
never heard. Yep. So and we actually looked it up beforehand. At least according to Wikipedia, it was like on a budget under $500,000 and it made over $11 million. So solid return on investment. But a character that I'm like, just, I don't, okay, so Slash is attached to it, but, like Slash, it's just Slash Presents. Vault puts out great stuff. So, but then we see Tim Seeley is writing this. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's the biggie right there, baby.
That's where I'm like, I'm going to check this out. And then Jim Terry is the artist on this. Joe, this is funny. This is graphic. There is some nudity and it is all over the place. And then, and
I believe we called that Tim Seeley bingo. You just hit Tim Seeley bingo.
Yeah. And I like, so, and there's a very significant development at the, like, that comes at the end that I would never have seen coming. I have not told you what it is yet. I will tell you, but like I can't share that with the people right now. You guys will all see as you read it. But it's caused me to invest in Deathstalker even further. Dibs on this, if I didn't say this in my ranting already, but
well, then don't tell me. Right?
No, well, no. It's going to be public news. Like that will come out. I'm not. You'll understand. But I'm not bringing it up now. But anyways, yes, like I had a lot of fun with this. I did not expect this to be funny and kind of goofy. Like it feels like this is like, this is like an action movie, like with like a Conan kind of vibe to it, and then but kind of like goofy in a way. And it's like it's one of those things that knows what it is and just leans into it at the right moments. And so I think Tim Seeley did a great job with it, and Jim Terry's art is perfect for the tone of this story. So a really fun first issue, and I'm excited for more from Vault with this. Moving over to Titan. Speaking of Conan the Barbarian, issue 10 of that is out this week. The Savage Sword of Conan issue 2 is out this week, and bullshit, no Nouns of Nountown. No way. There's no way. I don't believe you.
100% that's coming. Why don't you rattle off these next few, and then we'll finish up with Image.
Dynamite. We got Red Sonja issue 10, Fire and Ice issue 5, Vampirella Dracula Rage issue 6, Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, The Great Hunt issue 6. From Distillery, we got Spectrograph issue 1, which you're on, right?
Did you call dibs?
No. I thought you.
All right, dibs.
Yeah.
I did, but you never responded. I didn't. I missed your response. Because there's been a few James Tynion books where we both kind of grabbed dibs on, and so
I'm still waiting on my Christmas theme, like Christmas horror themed one to wrap up. Because you haven't been able to check it. I'm blanking on the name of that.
I am on this. All right.
Okay. Mad Cave, Charred Remains issue 5, and a book that I have dibs on, Dick Tracy issue 1. I dropped the ball on a couple of these this week. So that's on me, everybody. I apologize, but I am going to be checking out Dick Tracy. Very excited for that. I'll have plenty to read on our flight, both there and back. That's for sure. And then, Joe, we move to Image, where holy shit, what a week for Image. There's only 3 books. Actually, no, we were actually checked out the first issue of Under York. I'm gonna check out the second one, but was not high up on my list for this week. But that's out this week. Dutch issue 3 is out this week, and The Forged issue 7 is out this week. And then everything else is a book that you or I or both of us are reading.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me of Under York, because I think I was on like, we'll see. I'll give it the second issue.
Yes.
But like it's a title that I just like.
Yeah, because I think Mirka's on that one.
I didn't download it because I forgot that we had actually. Anyways, so
we got World Tree issue 9, The Six Fingers issue 3, Monstrous 51, The Bloody Dozen: A Tale of the Shrouded College issue 5, Drawing Blood issue 1, which you've read previously, actually.
Yeah. So real quick, with this, because I'm like, Drawing Blood, that's that sounds familiar. But this book dropped actually in 2019 under Kevin Eastman Studios. So it was self-published by him. And I think I talked about this last week or a show or two ago, where I remember reading it. I remember having a hard time because the local comic book shop, didn't always get copies, and like I put it on my pull list, but then like it seemed like it was like cancel. I think I've read like the first 4 out of that 5 issues. It was an issue I couldn't get my hands on, and I couldn't get it digitally, so it was kind of annoying. But I loved it. Right, it was great, and there was even like a one-off attached to this. So this is basically like semi-biographical Kevin Eastman story, and in the book, it's a character that appears to be based on him, who's got real famous for coming up with this these mutant animals. I can't remember if they were whatever they were at the time, and hit comic, sold the movie rights, pissed the money away, and found himself doing a lot of shady shit and getting himself into a lot of shady,
Mm.
antics. And I loved it, but and then I just completely forgot about it. I mean, I think there was a point in time where I thought about doing this on the show early on when we first started doing this. So now it looks like Image bought it and they're just sort of being re-released through Image, which is great. So I can't wait to reread this again. I'm going to take dibs. I'm just going to call dibs because
100%.
I
Yep.
originally thought about doing it. And because I just remember loving it, and the art, it's Kevin Eastman art, right? So,
Mhm.
um, fascinating. So I was really interested to see this, and why Image and not IDW, where the TMNT properties are, but
Well,
probably it's edgier and they can get away with a little bit more.
well, yeah, that, and it's like he has full creative freedom. It's already done. So, he's gonna
Yeah,
probably make more money because it's like the way the image works and everything.
yeah.
Whereas they're not. So yeah, there's I could see a few reasons. But that's a fair question. But real quick, I was doing a little search because I was like I couldn't find Underyork. I was trying because I wanted to move it up on my list too. We didn't get the review copy of this, so but
Okay.
that may mean that it's actually got pushed on its release date. Just put that on
Yes.
everybody's radar. But then we got two books that you and I are both reading, and it's not you and I from AWA. Let's start with Feral issue 2 because you and I did get a chance to check out up to the third issue of Feral when we had Tony Fleece on a while back. And one of the things that we talked with Tony about was with Trish Forstner's art. Like she obviously does like this, like has this cuter style. It very much like reminds us of Disney from when we were younger, and that's part of what makes these stories so amazing because there's horror stories, but you have these cute animals, and that just like fuck with the nostalgia factor and everything. And I asked Tony if there's ever times where Trish is like, this is a little too like dark or like a little bit like pushing a little bit too far, and it was because of something that happens in this issue. And I'll tell you right now, there's a moment where you'll think like, oh, that's what Nick was talking about. And then I
Yeah.
promise you there'll be another moment later on where it's like, oh no, wait, that's what he was talking about. And it's like, Jesus, like
Yeah.
absolutely. So where Stray Dogs was vicious and so much fun, and I absolutely loved it. And it's such a great series. And if you haven't read it, go read it. You don't have to have read that to read this, but that has obviously like some viciousness to it, but it's more, what's going on like psychologically and everything that's so fascinating. With Feral, it is vicious. It is ruthless, relentless. It is crazy. So it's a different experience, but still awesome stuff. Like really enjoying what we've got from Tony and from Trish and company.
Yeah, the tone and the vibe of the two books are right with and they're both suspenseful in completely different ways, right? Whereas with Stray Dogs, you had that serial killer aspect of it, the real threat of like fucked up, twisted violence happening, because you had that human element that where they're all sort of confined in the same space. With Feral, you've got more of that 28 days later sort of vibe to it, where there's something happening, right? You don't quite know what it is yet, but there's something happening, and it's more animal on animal viciousness, and we get oh man, we get a couple of moments in this book, but this one's more of a fight for survival,
Yeah.
right? Versus like, okay, we trying to like just like escape, kind of solve a mystery sort of thing. Excellent. I mean, I love the fact, and Tony was great about talking about this too, because his art style is very similar. I think they both worked on My Little Pony together, and so there is a more sort of cartoony element to their art. But he was wonderfully unapologetic about it, because
Mhm.
it's art. That's my style. That's what I love. That's what I draw. Same thing with like Scotty Young, right? And I think what I love about it most is because it really does play with your brain. because you're looking at, again, like you said, these cute animals, and they're not doing such cute things.
Yeah,
Right.
no, it is in a way where we've talked about with Bob Quinn, of course, on Kill Your Darlings, or we talk about I'm blanking on that new Cullen title and the artist there, and then you mentioned Scotty Young and I think it's Brett Bean that's now doing the art for I Hate Fairyland. A lot of cartoony stuff out there right now, and I am so very much here for it. But while I have so much fun with those, and they scratch an itch that I didn't know I needed scratched, this one does that similarly, but at the same time, like you said, it messes with your head, as we've been saying, is in a way that those can't, because Trish's style is just so reminiscent of stuff that we saw when we were younger as readers, and it's really like a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, and it's a great story on top of it. The writing's excellent, and so
Yes.
it's just all, it all comes together really well. So love it.
Speaking of awesome writing, too, we have the Infernals issue 3. Ryan Parrott, Noah Gardner, John J. Pearson, we all had on the show a while back, and we had first issue really good, second issue really good, and then in the second issue we get this development, and at the start of this one, totally twists it around, and it's like, okay, well, this is like the game is changed, and it sets the tone so well for the entire issue, and now we're in this wild spot by the end of this issue be just on that development alone. Never mind that we have a couple other subplots and machinations going on in the background, and it's wild. Like the way I now have an understanding of like how I would describe the way this story moves, Joe. It moves at an even pace, but every development packs a massive punch.
Yeah, there's no fat on this steak. Zero,
Mm-hmm.
zero fat. And I talked a few moments ago about the importance of that first issue, right? And when we had, Ryan and John and Noah on, we loved this book, and we loved talking with them, and they were very excited about this book. And first issue was excellent, right? Bang, same thing. I want that second issue now. We get the second issue, bang, the way it ends, right? So we got two phenomenal issues already, and then we get to the third one. This is the best issue of the series so far. Granted, it's only
Yes.
3 of them, but like when the third issue is even better than the previous two, and they were already excellent. Like we,
Mm-hmm.
right, that this book is has probably even scratched the surface of where it's going to go yet. And John's art is, you talk about vicious, man.
It's
I think I
perfect.
talked to him when we had him on. There's a Martin Simmons sort of touch to it that I love,
Mm-hmm.
and the characters, great. We get some more layers to the Jackal character, who just by the character's nature is very quiet, but we get some real depth to him. But just everything else that's going on, like this is such a good issue. This is such a good story. Um, Again, damn, I just, guys, if you're listening, just shoot me the PDFs, please, please. I need it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. It's and I keep seeing a lot of the Massiverse readers who fans of Rogue Sun talking about this more and more. So it's good that it's getting that attention there. But if you haven't been checking this out, this is definitely a title that you're going to want to give a look.
Yeah,
All right.
without a doubt, Nicholas.
So that is going to do it for us this week with what's new. But although we went a little bit longer with what's new than we normally do, we do have, for those who listen in audio version, we have an interview with Akira Brown, the editor of Coil to Strike, right after this. If you're only watching us on the stream, go check out that. I'll make sure that this time around we'll definitely have timestamps in there for you to go check that in case you're stuck with us the whole stream. But either way, Joe, I'm going to see you real soon at C2E2. But until the next time that you and I convene, stay sexy.
You know it, baby.